of your life. Morning Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV, where we believe that you can be a giant in your own world. And today, we are going to learn a little bit about the scandalous side of leadership. Stick around. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, co-creator of A Tribe of Giants, Wake Up with Giants TV, and 12 Journeys Coaching. And I'm here with Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls, and the co-creator of all those things just mentioned. And he's not just a clownfish, folks. He is. That was an inside joke from before. We have a show that might make your butthole pucker today. We'll see. Can you say that? I don't
Maybe.
know. We've never said.
Maybe,
I don't know if
yeah.
we've ever said that. Woo.
I think the
Hold on.
FTC will have, they'll be okay with that. I mean,
We've said a little worse on this show before,
yeah,
right?
we've said some
Yeah.
bigger words than
But it's going to help
Yeah.
create some neurons along the way too. So
This is
we're
what
so
Facebook
excited.
says. We've had to mute part of your recording.
Right,
Yeah.
too scandalous.
Sorry, kids. It is scandalous. We're going to find out what all this means. And if you want to know what kind of giant you are, go to giantsandsmalls.com. Take our Giants quiz. It's legit, lit, too legit to quit as. I don't know where I'm going anymore. It's already got off the rails. But if you don't know this man that we're about to interview, you need to know him. And Nick's going to introduce you to him because we know him and we love him and we appreciate him. We're so excited. He's going to be on the show. Nick, will you introduce our guests?
I would love to. So today we have a guest whose story is as inspiring as it is transformative, Tony Schmaltz. His leadership journey has taken him from the bustling floors of corporate giants to the intimate heart-to-heart sessions as the world's premier belief coach. So with over 2 decades of experience in molding and mentoring teams and companies of all sizes, Tony has honed an uncanny ability to unlock potential and foster growth in individuals and organizations alike. His recent pivot 3 years ago marked a new chapter in his mission to empower people to shatter the barriers of fear and doubt, helping them to cultivate a powerful belief system that propels them towards their dreams. So as the host of a groundbreaking virtual summit, Tony has shared the stage with thought leaders and visionaries, spreading insights that ignite the spirit and awaken the mind. So let's dive into the wisdom and strategies of a man who's reshaping the landscape of personal development, one belief at a time. Tony Schmaltz, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I don't think that's the intro I sent you. That was nice work there.
Embellish. We like to embellish.
Was that chat GPT? Was that?
I don't
Yeah.
know, but we got this. Cut it off. That's enough. That's enough.
Right?
Yes, Chat GPT helped me do that. I love working with AI because it makes me sound like I can actually write. So,
Right?
I write books. Chat GPT makes it better.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
It's like
we've,
energy drinks.
just like energy drinks, which register as like cocaine or whatever on the drug
Yeah.
test. Be careful.
Yeah. It's just grabbing my cocaine. Now we've used butthole and cocaine on this show already.
Topics that we can't talk
Well,
about.
we're definitely getting cut off on this one. This is.
Well, we got an interesting topic today, and when you think of scandalous, we think of the White House probably more than anything. But the word, going back to it, it'll tie into what we're going to talk about today. Comes from the Greek scandalon, a stumbling block or damage to one's reputation. We perhaps in our world committed to do something or be a leader in the world, and then we had some hiccups along the way, some stumbling blocks, and then we recapture and regain footing, right? And get back out there and recreate. And so I know in the past few months and past year, especially, it's been a challenge all around for a lot of people
Mhm.
And so I think this will be a timely show because leadership isn't always about, things going right. Sometimes leadership shows up when things go pretty wrong, right?
Right. Right.
So have you had any moments like that? Yeah.
Let's
Let me
see.
touch you.
I need to take off my shoes and count my fingers and toes.
Yeah.
As long as you don't take your shorts and shirt off, I'm good, man. Take your shoes off.
Yeah, so it's been a roller coaster ride the last year or so for sure. When you and I first met, when three of us first met, it was, God, it's been almost 3 years, hasn't it? 2 years?
It has. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was in a great place. I was getting ready to plan this new event that was going on. Had nothing but vision and plans ahead of me, and things were knocking and going, and then boom, I hit a wall, and it was just a weird wall to hit. That event that we were trying to run, that live and in-person event, poured tons and tons of money into that, and ended up having to cancel it. Didn't have the ticket sales. And it took a real impact on my family and I. I mean, we had to sell our house to try to make up some of the financial losses, and moved into a condo we were renting for the first time in 20 years. And then from there, we were at this condo, and I was at a loss of what I was going to do next. I had poured so much time and so much money and so much effort into that alone. I had let my coaching practice kind of slide a little bit, and so I wasn't finding clients. I wasn't building that brand and client list. So it was just like I was stuck, and I was stuck just staring at the screen every morning going, what the heck do I do now? What do I do next? I always held on to that belief. I always knew that great things were coming. I just didn't know what they were or how to find them at that moment. And that was a first for me. That was the first for me. I'd never not known what to do next, whether it was in my career or coaching business.
It's like getting punched by Mike Tyson, right? It's like it just knocks stars into you, and you're like, I don't know what to do from here. And sometimes it does take that stepping back to really figure out where your footing is.
Right.
It's pretty hard. Life can hit pretty hard.
Is it weird that when you say that, I imagine the Hangover where he knocked out what's his name?
No,
I have a picture of that in my basement.
That's exactly what I saw when you said getting hit by Mike Tyson. I just saw that where he knocked out Zach Galifianakis, and he's like, Mike still got it.
You still got it.
Zach Galifianakis.
I think we've all had something, or many of us have had something like that, where you have a vision and dream, you pour your heart and soul into it, you nurture it. I was trying to find a poem that I wrote for a customer or a client of mine years ago, over a decade ago. I've got to see if I can find it. I'll share it if I do. But these setbacks, right? These disappointments, the loss of hope, the frustrations, you pour your heart and soul into it, and it turns upside down. It doesn't go the way you planned. Right. And so, I always go back to the 12 journeys because your essence shows up, your character shows up in that, right? Who you are shows up, and who you're creating yourself to be. So when you went through this, did it bring up old hurts, old sufferings, old pains?
Oh, big time. I went through a period there, however brief it was or however long it seemed like forever, but it was brief in the long scheme of things, where all kinds of old fears came back, old insecurities, all kinds of things where I was just like, if it wasn't for having such an amazing, powerful wife to be there, I mean, 21 years, we're going on our 21st year, where she's just fully supported me in everything I do. And even this, she's like, hey, we're going to get through this. Things are going to turn around. They always do, and it's hard when you're in one of those times to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's easy when you're in an uptime, you're like, oh, look at what I went through. But when you're in that downtime, it's hard to see that, oh, I was just here, or another one of these is coming. And so I was in that place. Hard to see what was coming next. And like you said,
almost like the stock market, right? You have those highs, and then you have a low, and then there's another run there. But when you're in that dip, that valley, it's really hard to focus on what's the positives and what's coming next. And that takes a lot of practice, building new neural pathways.
Yes, yes. That aren't attached to no.
All right. Hey, the pucker factor is real. That's why we talked about
That's right. That's right.
The
longest neuron is in the body is the one from the brain to the butthole. The pucker,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the pucker factor when you're like, oh, but when nothing is sure, what everything is possible. That's the beauty of uncertainty.
Well, and so it was great though. What happened is I was right in the middle of that chaotic, not knowing what to do next period, and it was actually Eric Lawfilm that reached out to me, and he said, "Hey, you and I have talked about doing a virtual event before. I know you did. This thing didn't work out. It was literally like a month and a half, 2 months after I had canceled the other one. He's like, hey, what do you think about doing a virtual event for coaches?" And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. And so from there, I had all the templates I had already used for the other event. I just turned it virtual, made it virtual, and started reaching out to people, and reached out to Steve Chandler and immediately said, yes, I would love to do that. Immediate response. I'm like, what? I'm like, cool. And then reached out to Kameen and Ankush and just kept and put the collective together, and the whole thing was Upgrade Your Coaching. And that there building that and having that come off the way it did was a huge confidence builder, huge step in the right direction. And since then, and even in the creation process of that, I was getting my visions back. I was finally like, okay, this is where Schmaltz is going. This is where it's happening. And started coming together. And when that came together and came off the way it did, I mean, it came off better than I could have hoped. And, I had an MC that ended up backing out at the last minute. And I brought in Dave Orton to be the MC, and he freaking knocked it out of the park. I mean,
I love Mr. Dave Orton.
Right? So I had my camera here, and then I had the laptop over here. We had a back room. We had a Zoom room for like the green room, the backstage area. So we had the speakers pop in before their time. And, Dave, I'm sitting here listening to both, and I'm hearing Dave going, okay, how do you want me to announce you? What do you want? And he's just like digging into these guys. And I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, you're awesome. So, and then like a couple of the comments are saying here, that summit was it was phenomenal. It was two full days of powerful speakers. And then a third day we did a panel Q&A session. So all the speakers came together and got to answer everyone's dying questions. It was just 400 people registered without any ads. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah. Do you feel like the preparation that came out of that sometimes growth looks like pain?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So life is actually the thing you need to grow in a new way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're bring up.
You're choppy right now, Nick. It's
I am. Well, good.
Yeah, your screen froze right when you were like this, scratching your nose.
Did you catch the question though?
Yeah, the preparation part. So go ahead. Ask again, just to make sure.
I can't freeze very good on my own.
So
my computer has to do it.
I can see your fan moving behind you.
No, you can't. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
The question is like when you go through a thing like this, a shocker moment, a thing that really puckers your butthole, we'll say it.
Yeah.
And you think this is not how my life was supposed to go. This is not what I wanted. But those are the moments where there's a great opportunity for learning and growth, right?
Right.
And preparation, because that failure actually allowed you to show up in the next event even more powerfully and move even more quickly, because you know what works and what doesn't work through a somewhat painful experience. Pain could have turned into suffering if you thought this shouldn't be happening to me.
Right.
I'm not deserving of this, right? That's where suffering comes in. Pain is just pain. So what are your thoughts around that? What would you tell somebody?
So the good news is I'm very fortunate in the sense that I never pulled out the victim card. I never said this is happening to me. I never said, hey, so-and-so caused this. I 100% took responsibility. And that's one thing that I hold real true to myself, that's one thing I'm pretty good at is I don't point fingers anywhere else. I know that I made choices that led to that and could have been different, but yeah. To your point, the preparation piece, yes. And that's essentially what I did when I came to this virtual event, and everything I've done since is the preparation. It's one of the things I kind of lost for a little while. was getting back to basics, so to speak. And when I'd always ran programs before, I was very good about the preparation. Here's my list of items I need to do. Here's what it takes to get those done, actually planning out. And it was actually Kellen Flugiger that really got me aligned with that when it came to that virtual event. And it was, he talks about doing his step map and being relentless about the step map. So it's like, hey, here's this item that I have to get done. Like I'm going to build this funnel. Okay, cool. Here's this. Now, how many other sub steps are there to building this funnel? You got to get pictures. You got to write copy. You got to put this. So creating that plan of here's your main item you have to get done. Here's everything else it's going to take, and put dates to each one of those items. Here's when I'm going to get this done by, helped me get to that point. And I've done that with everything since. In fact, just Wednesday, I finished the draft of my next book. And part of the same reason, because I was just relentless about here. I'm going to get at least this many pages done per day, or this many words. Actually, I was tracking. I'm going to write at least 2,000 words a day, and I'm going to have this book done in a month. And I did. And I had written a book previously, but when I was reading it over, it wasn't who I am today. So I was like, I'm not going to release that. And with everything that has happened over the last year, I'm like, if that's not in the book, that's a waste of time. So I got to have all that in there.
Yeah. Sometimes your writing can't keep up with your change, right? Your transformation.
Yeah. And it's funny how many I'm going through the self-edit now, and how often I get through one of my chapters and I'm like, oh wait, no, I need to add about this. I had this experience. It is relevant to this. So, yeah.
That's why, I wrote my books back in 2011 and then just didn't change, just stay the same.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's been a lot of development since then.
A lot.
So, speaking about taking action towards something new. So I walk through the journeys, you have an impactful moment and it spins you down, and it'll do it to the best of us. We go into our emotions, our thoughts, our judgments, and then we come back through that cycle. And, people say, I don't ever want to feel that again. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be feeling this. And they think I'll never, if I go back to that, I'm failing.
Right.
But it's part of the process. Anytime you stretch, there might be a bit of insecurity in you about the new thing that you're creating. You're at the edge of whatever you've accomplished. And so there would be some uncertainty in that. I've never done this before. And so recreating yourself, you're going to go through a process of recreation where not only are your old value systems or beliefs going to come up, but you're going to navigate back to elevate yourself to be the one that can step into the unknown and create the thing that you say you're going to create.
Right.
And part of the stepping into the unknown is taking these steps, and there are steps to take. You just don't know which of these steps is going to create the outcome, but it's your responsibility to step. See, like faith is trusting and taking action when you can't see what's going to happen next. Right. So it's almost like I've got the vision. I know I can do it. I'm surrounded by abundance. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is what I think I can do to create it. So I'm going to act on that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, very accurate. Hugh, how did I know you were going to bring that up?
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, Tony will.
I feel like Hugh has like the stick in the corner and he's like, I know what to do to.
Oh, he's poking the bear. He's totally poking the bear.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Are you cheering, Steve? And
tell him not to worry about it.
Tell him it's better than football. It's better than football.
Yeah.
Just start cheering.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right in the middle of sacrament
funny, though, is you talk about that direction and not knowing what to do next. And it was one of those moments that just was right. And, I just finished rereading the book, You Are the One by Coop Blackson, and amazing book. If you haven't read it, phenomenal. In fact, it's funny. Steve actually reached out to me and said that he went to Santa Monica University with Coop back in the day. But anyway, there's a section in that book. I think it's actually the introduction where he's talking about this guy that he met in India who has no hands, no feet, and he's just beating his drum with his stumps. And he's talking about how everything is a gift, and you are a gift. And if you're not sharing those gifts with the world, then you're depriving them of something that they desperately need.
Hmm.
And it was reading that. It was right after reading that I had a company reach out to me about potentially coming to work for them. And if you took their job description and you took my corporate resume, you could literally like set them on top of each other. There was that much bullet point by bullet point aligned. And so I said, okay, I'll have a conversation about it. And one thing led to another. And here we are. They moved us down to Palm Harbor, Florida, which is just about the Clearwater area. And so I'm starting with them as a quality assurance manager. I've been here for about 3 months now.
That's awesome.
You know, my long-term intent is not to stay here, but it was that reading that section, like literally the same day of getting this, I'm like, you know what, this is too much of a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. So it's right. It's what they need as an organization is in my wheelhouse.
Right.
So I'm like, cool. And because they know that, or they went in knowing that, they're giving me the ability and the basic, I don't want to say use the phrase free reign, but it's essentially free reign to get them to where they need to be and help them grow. So it's helping them grow while I'm growing myself and growing my business. It's a whole lot of growth going on right now.
So let's speak to that a little bit. So there's a journey, in the journey of surrender. We talk about that letting go and not knowing how it's going to look, and just trusting that every step is the step that's going to get you to your bigger future. And, the surrender of even taking on a new position, we can all relate to that. And in some form, some people might look at that and say, you're giving up on your dream, or you're not really committed to your bigger dream, or else you do that full time. I've had people say that to me, and, or you're acting from fear by taking that job. And I would wonder what your point of view is on that.
So, it's funny because I actually had those thoughts myself. Am I giving up on my dream? I mean, it was again, a conversation with Kellen, where he said, you don't have to go back to work. I was telling him about this job offer I had, and he said, you don't have to go back to work. You can create clients. You can get back do that again and get that back. I said, I know. I said, you're right. However, this just feels right. I mean, the timing of it, it's right. Not in any way, shape, or form giving up on my dream. If I hadn't, I believe that everything happens when and how it's supposed to happen. And had we not made this move down here, had I not set up this office that we have here in a spare room, had I not taken those steps, I wouldn't have done that virtual event, wouldn't have pulled that off. I wouldn't have gotten my book written. I wouldn't have been in a much better place mentally and financially. None of those things would have happened if I would have stayed where I was at, because I would have stayed stuck. And so to that, when somebody tries to say, hey, are you giving up on your dreams? No, I'm just reinforcing them and creating a new pathway to get there.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like that ties into Edison's 10,000 ways that didn't work. Think about the quantity of that. And I know each of us has done some form of that too, is what people would call a failure would be a definition or a subjective view of how the outcome, right?
Yep.
It's a negative yield from our efforts is the definition, but is it really negative, or are we deciding and subjectively defining it as negative because of our point of view and where we think we should be? Or is it just another step in the pathway that's going to get us there? It's just not the way we thought it would be. Right?
That's exactly right. If it was easy, it would be a straight line. Nothing is a straight line when it comes to finding your success, right. And I'm not saying it's hard either. It's actually pretty easy. It's just sometimes we have to take the scenic route to get there.
Right. I think of slime mold. This is a great analogy for all of us. There was a research study done on slime mold where they put pieces of oats on different points on a map. And slime mold went out in all directions like this. And then it found the oats, and then it narrowed the pathway to the most efficient pathways to those oats. Right. Wow. It recreated the subway system for the city that they placed it in.
Oh, wow.
And it was more efficient, and actually it was efficient, but also pretty close to what they had engineered as humans. And so in our creation, sometimes we don't know what's going to get us to the vision that we have. So we go out and put energy in all directions. And then we start to see this is working, that's working, this isn't working. And we pull our energy back into the pathways that are going to get us there. It's more of a fractal pattern. There's one of our favorite F words. And so, but it takes in the beginning, because you don't know, you're trying everything. And then as you narrow down that pathway, then you're able to really direct energy towards the things that are working. Right. Getting a job might be one of those things that creates energy in your life and allows you to flow in other areas. So you might have energy flowing over here to a thing called job, and also energy flowing to your thing called a vision and dream.
Right.
And yeah, so subjectively, failure is really just made up.
It is made up. It is made up. And it's opportunity for learning. You know, I don't like to use the word failure. I mean, even though I do, I mean, it's just, I catch myself and go, no, just another opportunity for learning. And when you talk about even like going back to work now, what's fun about it for me now is now with all this last 5 years of personal development and being a coach, I look at being a leader with this team a lot differently than I would have, 5 years ago. And so I come into it from a place of leadership and coaching versus being a boss. And it's fun because when I got in there, I report directly to the president, but the vice president sits right next to me. And she had told me one day that I had 2 employees that she was ready to fire. She wanted to fire them. She's like, if you can't straighten them out, I'm going to fire them. And I said, give me some time. I still need to evaluate the team and see what's going on. Now these are 2 of my best employees. Really? Like they're amazing. And all they needed was to know that somebody was there that had their back. I mean, they were good technically. They had a little bit of attitude problems and attendance problems. And once they enjoyed coming to work again because they had somebody there who was helping them grow, was helping develop them, was showing them that there's a different way to leadership than walking around with a bigger stick, then they just turned it around. And now we have one of the strongest teams in the company. I've got people coming up to me almost daily. Hey, you got any openings? I want to come work for you guys.
Really?
Oh yeah.
It makes a difference. I think a lot of leaders think leadership is a bigger stick.
Yeah, I know. And it's not.
I know, Nick.
I've been there. I've been that guy with the bigger stick.
It reminds me of like, what's the Star Wars knockoff? My Schwartz is bigger than yours.
Your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Schwartz.
Well, and it's interesting because that's the way this company has been. They've been that beat you with a stick type of company. In fact, this vice president, she's super young to be a VP, but which is not a problem other than she hasn't really developed her leadership skills. And her first instinct is when somebody makes a mistake is write them up. I'm like, no, let's
fear, intimidation.
Let's coach them a bit. How do we know? Did they have the tools? Did they have the training? Did they have any of this? How do we know that was actually, was that intentional? No. Give people a chance. It's like I was having a conversation with her and the president the other day, and I said, and I was brought this exact topic up, and I said, it's like that movie, Mr. Baseball, with Tom Selleck.
That's an older one, yeah.
Where he's talking, he's sitting there having drinks with his coach, and they're talking it out, and he's telling them about how, the same topic. He's like, stop, give people a chance, give your pitchers a chance to pitch their way out of a game. Don't pull them every time they make a mistake. And so I said, it's just like that. So, because you think about it, when they came to that last game, the pitcher pitched a home run, threw a home run, and he's leaning down. He's expecting to get out. He's kneeling down on the ground, and he's like, he's not coming out. Stand up. He's not coming out. The guy stood up. He smiled, and he pitched a great rest of the game. It's the same way. Give these guys a chance. Don't rag on them every time they make one little mistake.
I like that. Ryan, thoughts around that? I mean, you've seen that in leadership too. It's
when you, I've personally, I've never had a problem not seeing the best in people. I can see people's pretty quickly. I've been a good judge of character and not been judgy at the same time. Does that make sense? Like I don't hold things against them because I know that they can improve and I can see the best of them. And I went through some organizations in my career. Nick, you were at one of them as well, that I was at with you personally, and we could see, the way that it was top down leadership was trickling down. You could see their point of view and how they were personally in their own lives was then dictating how they showed up at work. And a lot of times it was that fear, intimidation. It was almost bullying, type
Yeah.
of like, you're not going to listen to me. I'll show you. You are going to listen to me, versus the way that I like, you will go to sleep or I will put you to sleep, type of mentality, right?
We are dropping movie
Yeah.
lines like crazy.
Yeah, that's
this
how
is
we do it
perfect.
here.
That's how we
But
think.
yeah,
Gifts and movies.
yeah, and so how I've done things in management is, okay, that happened. Now let's use it as a learning experience. Just like Tony was saying, I go put my arm around the guy, the guy or gal, and like just like go up and hug the gal. Usually the dudes, I'll go up and be like, hey, come on, let's go for a walk, buddy. Let's go talk, and we'll use it as a learning experience and say like, hey, this wasn't the best way to handle it. What are other ways that we could do it? And or talk to them. What's going on in your world?
Right.
Because a lot of times there might be stuff that's going on. Nick, you had over at another RV place where they didn't give a rip what was going on in your personal life. All you needed was somebody to say, like your company to say, "I'm sorry, that's hard. What can we do to help?"
Right.
And we know that you're a performer, and you just take a little bit of time. I know this is damaging in your own world, and it's hurting. We love you, and we'll get back on the horse. Just we understand. And that would have made a world of difference. Instead, they said that's not our problem,
Yeah.
Right.
and that doesn't create leadership. That doesn't create
No.
an environment of caring and growth and yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't come out of there saying, "Well, that felt really good."
No, you left. You're like, well,
Yeah,
the
I did.
scratch in the nose thing. You were out of there.
But it reminds me of the show with Douglas Knowles of validation, that we did, and validating people's situation. So, this ties into the overall theme here is when you have a scandal, a stumbling block, right? If you really look at that word as a stumbling block, then it's, it is challenging. And individually, we may feel like this is really hard right now. I don't know how I'm going to make it out of this right now.
Right.
Even in work, right? These two people that were really talented people got stuck in their scandal, their own personal scandal, and probably got into the space of, I don't know how to resolve this. So they just get frustrated, angry, and maybe dismissive, right?
Right.
But when you acknowledge somebody's in that space and you really voice it, look, that's challenging. I can understand why you'd be showing up the way that you are. It makes sense that based on your history and everything that you would show up that way. It would make sense for me with a company that says, it's really not our problem. You need to go sort this out on your own. After a divorce, it's like, okay, I'm going through a divorce. This is hard. There was no acknowledgement of that. There was an acknowledgement of, we need you to get back to work. We don't need to hear about this anymore. Kind of a dismissing of the situation. Now I can play the victim on that, or I can step back in, right? But that validation helps me to step back in. It's not that I'm dependent on somebody to give me that. It's just simply, it helps.
Yeah.
If somebody said to you, Tony, get over it, you fell down, maybe that is what you need to hear. Like, get over it, get back up on your feet and go. But I think for most of us, it's acknowledge how hard this is for me right now. I'm not going to stay here. What's coming up?
Agreed. And so it's funny. So before I get into that, can you pop Hugh's last comment up there? Yeah, this one. This hit me while you were talking, because this is the last company I worked at before I went full-time as a coach. They actually pulled this one on me. So I had made an improvement in our department that like saved them a ton of money. It was just vastly better. And I got called into the general manager's office, and he said, by the way, he said he was giving me a hard time about how I did this project. And I asked him, hey, did you not get the results you were looking for? He's like, no, the results are great. You guys are saving much of time, bunch of money, et cetera. I said, so why are we having this discussion? Because that's not the way we do things here. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait a minute.
We have Office Space where it's like, it's the TPS report. You didn't do it the way that we wanted it done.
Right.
And you
it's
need
like,
to put
you got the results
TPS report.
who cares about the path? You got the result you're looking for. You got your improvement. And I was like, I walked out of that office just cross-eyed going, what in the world just happened? Basically said, you did a great job, but don't do that anymore. What? So
you're everything we've ever wanted. And don't you ever do that again.
Right. And so the other piece in relation to what you're talking about, and about the acknowledgement and the validation, I have a motto that hangs in my office at work, and it didn't at the last place, but when I worked in aerospace in the Seattle area, I had it there, and it hangs in my office now. It says, it's my motto. It's people first, customer always. Because if you put your people first, they're always going to take care of that customer. Always. So if a person feels like they are number one in the world on your team, they're going to work their butts off for you, and they're going to make sure that everything's done right, fast, and efficient, because they feel like they're a part of the team. They feel valued. And if you show them that value, that they are valued, shoot, they're going to perform like you've never seen before. The same goes for being a coach. If you put the people first, customers are always going to be there.
Yeah. So that idea, I want to pull that back into the overall theme. The arching theme here is that leaders are going to experience setbacks. Yeah. It's how you show up that makes you a leader. It's what you do from there. The setbacks are going to be a part of life. Disappointments are going to be a part of life. That doesn't mean that you resign to them. It's just simply, there are times it's just not going to go the way you thought it would go. And then how you show up matters everywhere. Right. Because now it goes back to your way of being, right? Who you are at your core. And I think anytime you get rocked and really get knocked on your heels, it gives you a chance to really reflect on how you're performing, how you're showing up. You see reality exactly as it is. There's no delusion anymore.
Right.
And that's an opportunity for growth. So if we were to talk to somebody that's maybe going through this and they've had their setback, they're in their setback right now, and maybe we can coach them right here. Maybe we can coach, just virtually. Maybe they'll share in the comments here. What would you say to them first? Number one, they get hit by an unexpected thing in their life. What would be the very first thing?
What would you say to yourself? What did you say to yourself? How did you get through that and coach somebody just like you would yourself? Oh, right there. Don't be so quick about it, geez. It's like, hey, you know what's weird? Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it's
hold on, I got more.
But it's using the compound effect. It's what
show all our trinkets,
right? It's one.
Sorry.
That and
toothbrush, lamp.
But it's get back to basics and do one positive thing every single day. And that's what started it for me. And it was actually, it's funny. It's this book that actually caused me to reach out to Steve and Kameen for the,
split pea soup.
Yeah, no more pea soup.
I told you, I keep it on my desk as a reminder. I will never eat that can. No more pea soup.
What was the book, Tony? Say that again. Sorry.
Wealth Creation for Coaches. And it's by Steve Chandler and Kameen Samuel. And it was in that, it was the positive things that they talk about. It's not about the wealth creation piece of it that I'm referring to. It's that it's speaking positive into your world. We talk about having an attitude of gratitude, and that is probably the most powerful. But when you're down, as human beings, we struggle to find things to be grateful for, even if there's massive amounts of it in our life. And so for somebody who's going through a time like that, just speak something positive into your world, even if it's once a day. And it was in the reason that sticky note is there. And one of the things that helps me get out of that funk was in that book. She talks about in one of Kameen's chapters, she talks about saying that phrase to yourself, I am enough. And she said, put it all over your house, your apartment. And I did that. I took and I wrote that sticky note and I put it on my bathroom mirror, put it on the fridge, I put it on my desk, I put it all around. So everywhere I walked, I was reminded that I am enough. Mm-hmm. And so something simply very small or seemingly small can have a huge impact on your attitude and your ability to get out of that funk.
Yeah. I think where I would start from is just to acknowledge it, that you are where you are right now,
Right.
to give voice to it. This is what's happening. This is what happened. To acknowledge too some of the emotions that are coming up, the thoughts and judgments that are coming up. To really just accept you're having those. That I'm judging myself as not good enough. I'm judging myself as unworthy.
Right.
And using that as a start point is really validating where they're at. And then from there to move into, like you said, the positive is, moving through those emotions and moving through those thoughts to really start to see the positive again. And that starts to elevate you, I heard a piece of wisdom the other day from a gentleman. He said, if you want to outperform 99% of the people in the world, don't self-sabotage in your lows. Everybody, most of us, let's say, are going to go through lows. So when you get into your lows, just don't go deeper.
Right.
Don't make it worse.
No, exactly. Well, and there's a conversation. I don't know if are you guys familiar with Jim Rohn?
Yeah.
And so I've listened to a lot of his audios over the years. And one that sticks out to me is he talks about a conversation he had with one of his first mentors, Earl Schoaf. And he talks about how he was telling Earl, he's like, well, if I just had more money, I'd be happier. And he's like, that's not true. He's like, that's not true at all. He's like, having more money is only going to make you more of what you already are. And so when you hit those lows, I had just happened to listen to it about the time I was in one of those lows. And I'm like, crap. I'm like, okay, so again, if I get more money, I'm just gonna be more of this. So I'm like,
I'll just be that with money.
Right. So
yeah.
So I decided that it was one of those aha moments where you're like, okay, so this is where you talk about who you're being. I'm like, this is one of those moments where I get to either define or redefine who I'm being and who I want to be. And I had this conversation just yesterday with somebody, and I said, I had somebody that I was chatting with yesterday. I said, I want you to make a list. I said, it can be 3 things long. It can be 10 things long, but I want you to make a list of the things that you want to be, or that you either.
Hey, watch it during church, man.
Turn it up.
Him and Steve are both watching in the middle of church. But I had this person, I said, I want you to write down everything you can think of about who you want to be. This person said, I'm not sure who I'm being. I said, cool, that's okay. But write down every aspect you can think of who you want to be. And some of those may be things you already have. Don't skip those. If you already have something that you do want to hang on to, write that down too. I said, and your list could be 3 long, 10 long, 100 long. It doesn't matter. But you got to start somewhere. And every time you think of something else, go back to that list, write it down. And you have to start somewhere. And if you don't have a definition of what that's going to be, what are you striving for?
Yeah. I love it. I love the comments here. This is church,
right?
Well, it's a mindset thing. And we are doing it on a Sunday morning, but it's not intended that way. But
right.
It really is. I mean, if we think of that, it's a place to come to boost your mindset. And that's what we hope to create here. I like the idea of writing down all the things you would like to be in the world, maybe the things that you desire to be, right? That you're not currently in the moment. And, I'm listening to a couple of books, and I had a video sent to me on a gentleman that had passed away, and he talks about a power hour, right? He says that 30 minutes at night, 30 minutes in the morning. And this is just really sticky right now. I did a blog post about it, or article post about it this morning. But the idea that, before you go to bed, take that list of who you would like to be and have that be a pocket full of seeds that you can plant into your dreams and let them germinate while you're sleeping. And then when you wake up in the morning and you're fresh in your energy, that sprout of creation is there. Then throughout the day, you get to go practice nurturing that. Right. And at the end of the day, you may reap the harvest of it. You may not, but at the end of the day, give gratitude for what you do have, and then plant some more seeds at night before you go to bed. I mean, Napoleon Hill talks about it. I think, is he the one that talks about the feeling is the secret, or is that Neville Goddard? Neville Goddard.
Neville. Yeah.
So what's interesting is all 3 of these things that I'm listening to are all aligned right now. There's a book called Rich as Fuck. I don't know if you've seen that or read that, but it's another phenomenal book. And then Neville Goddard's The Feeling is the Secret. And then this video, I'll have to post a link here. Alyssa Ann posted that or shared that. And it's just beautiful because all three of these are aligned with that idea of plant your seeds in the evening before you go to bed.
Right. Right.
And never go to bed despairing, never go to bed frustrated or disappointed or angry or anything else. Like choose what you watch 30 minutes before you go to bed, let that germinate while you sleep, and then wake up in that energy and keep going.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
So it's funny. So I practiced something very similar. And even when I was in my down, I stopped practicing it, which obviously had an effect. So I'm very adamant about morning and evening, just like you're talking about. And one thing I do in the evening time, and I have my clients do in the evening time, that is a combination of things I learned from Steve Chandler, from Craig Ballantyne, and a couple of others. I do what I call and of my own design, I do what I call a four square journal. Take your journal, and it's out there because I was writing earlier, but you open it up to a full page and draw lines to where there's 4 squares. Top left square, write down everything that you accomplish, and do this within 30 minutes before you go to bed. This is, one of the last things. So first box, write down everything that you accomplished for the day. And that does not mean things that you had on your to-do list. That means things that you don't even think about. Hey, I went grocery shopping today. I filled up the gas tank. I did laundry. I wrote a chapter in my book. Everything. We take for granted all of the accomplishments that we actually do every day. Those are all accomplishments. So make a list of everything you accomplished throughout the day.
Even if it's, I got out of bed, if you're that, that low point where it's like, I don't even know if I can get out of bed.
Right. So, but again, you write down everything that you accomplished. That's box number 1. Box number 2 is write down everything you're grateful for. And again, I tell people write until you're out of room, or, it can be 5 things, 10 things, whatever it is. And then box number 3, what did I learn today? And it could be intentionally watching a class or watching a class, a video, being coached, or it can be just something you learned well out and about. But there is a lesson each and every day of our lives in some way, shape, or form. And then box number 4 is what's my number 1 priority for tomorrow.
Beautiful.
And then So that's the last thing I do.
I like that. That speaks to the seasonality of our days. Mm-hmm. I think of spring, summer, fall, and winter.
Yep.
And the seasons there. And we incorporate that into our 12 journeys, especially in the journey of nurture when you're building yourself back out into the world. The idea of acknowledging all that you've accomplished for the day, so your efforts, the gratitude for those things, the learnings for those things, and then the commitments or intentions for the next day.
Right.
I love the word intention because it means to stretch toward it, right? Yeah. And that's what we're doing every day. And some days you're going to stretch a little further than others, but every little bit of stretching is a stretch, right?
That's right.
So this will get you through, that survival, because you're going to, like, when you're going through it, it is very easy for your brain to shut down. It's just in survival. These things will start pulling you out and start reminding you of who you really are. Right. What you're capable of. The gratitude is a huge component to that, and then taking, it's baby steps. It's inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard. It can be hard. It might as well be a mile. Like it's sometimes when you're going through the hard stuff, you can't like I've been in a spot where I had zero money, negative money. I don't know if anyone's been there. And having, if somebody said, hey, well, you owe $100, that might as well been $1 million at that point. And so, and the overwhelm that comes in that shuts you down. But if you can start just taking little baby steps forward, you don't have to focus way out here. You twist that dial and it just brings it all right here. Just a little bit at a time, and as you move forward, then the view starts to open back up again,
right?
And you can see, oh, look at all these possibilities. But when it's all heaped on you, that's very hard to do. So I love your box is the 1, 2, 3, 4 of it's very easy. It's not difficult. If you can only fit one thing of gratitude in there, even if you're like, I can't fill the whole page. At least it's moving you forward
Right.
and getting you out of it. And you'll start seeing more and more and more and becoming more aware of what you're grateful for.
So Hugh,
Excellent.
your last comment there, you're exactly right. That's the whole purpose of this, because most people, they think about what they didn't accomplish. That's why this doesn't say what did you not get done. This is what did you get done. So you don't focus on what you didn't get
Negative.
done.
You want to go backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
What didn't you get done? Let's write that down.
What was really terrible about today?
Shame.
What did I not do? What do I hate about life? You know, how miserable is it going to be tomorrow?
Right? So Ryan, when I like what you said, inch by inch is a cinch, because that's one of the things that I had to get back to myself, back to the little things. Because when you do, even if it's just one thing every day, the compound, I mean, whoever's read The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy and Atomic Habits, or even Choose to Win by Tom Ziglar. I mean, they all talk about those things, those one little thing you do each and every day, but over time that compounds and adds up to one big thing, to big accomplishments. And so if you just did that one thing, you know, Tom Ziglar, my friend Tom Ziglar, he in his book, and he likes to talk about this when you're on a call with him too. He's like his definition of secret to success is changing one bad habit into one good habit. And he said that can be small. It doesn't have to be big. It's like watch 15 minutes less of TV each day and replace it with a book, or read in a book. Just start small. You don't have to be big. And that's one of the things I like to share with people. Don't have to, everyone, not everybody, but human beings in general, we think that we have all these things we have to get done, and it's overwhelming. So we procrastinate. We don't do any of them. We'll do the one little thing. Do the one thing.
I've heard it said that giants take small steps too. They're just bigger.
There's a good song on the Giants playlist too. It's like, start small, think big, ain't no other better way to live. Yeah. You know, but you know, it's all of these things are these small steps, turning one thing to a positive. Really, we have the power over our thoughts always. Mm-hmm. And that is the beauty of being a human being, is even though our emotions flood, or our sensations flood, and our thoughts are going into judgment and justification for where we are, we at any point can pivot.
Yep.
In my book, The Art of Accomplishment, I called it the 0 point. It's that point in between each of those decisions where you could turn it in another direction. You could be going down a pathway, and then at that 0 point, shift it in another direction. Mm-hmm. And really fundamental. It is going back to the fundamentals, the basics. When you get knocked on your heels or knocked on your butt puckers, then go back to the basics. Yep. I've got people that accomplish big things, and they say, I'm going for this as my new goal. They've never been there before. They have to go back to the basics. Yeah. And every one of them does. They go back in some form to the basics. They nurture the roots until they can see the light. And when they can see the light, then they shoot and grow into the expanse there.
Right.
And so,
and the other thing that it's hard for a lot of people to see is virtually every successful person you've heard of or seen in anywhere has been knocked on their butt over. Most people who have truly found wealth and happiness in their lives have been in the streets, almost practically in the streets. They've lost everything at some point in time, maybe multiple times. Yeah. And so it's that we in general, as humans, we see these people, oh, I wish I had that. Well, you don't know what that person went through to get that. You know, they've been through the downs like you might be feeling.
I don't think that we've interviewed somebody up to this point in time that hasn't.
That's what I'm saying. Virtually anybody. I mean, we recently read a Dr. Joe Vitale book, and he talks about living on the streets in Houston before he found his niche as a marketer. You know, it's everybody has been there.
Yeah. Even Einstein was a terrible insurance salesman. He failed that. Right. And we're like, that guy's an idiot.
Right.
I think he has a quote that says, you know, if you measure a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it would never measure up.
It's so funny you brought up the Einstein one, because Nick and I are re-listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul, and they just literally brought that comment was literally spoken in that book just this morning.
That's awesome. No accidents there.
Right.
Just anchor it in. It's for the viewers here, it's really just recognizing that there will be setbacks. Mm-hmm. There will be disappointments. There will be ways where it doesn't go the way you had it planned out. They won't be to your ideal, whether that's a loss of a business, a relationship. It could be just about anything. And you will go through a period of grief. You're going to be knocked on your heels. You'll feel the sadness of it, the loss. It's no longer there, the shattering. when you get to that point, if you're struggling to break out of it, get help, right?
Yeah.
If you can't do it on your own, get help. And when you feel like you're to a point that you can go further, then start leaning onto the fundamentals, like we say, and create a gentle awareness around where you've been. Feel the feels, feel the sensations, move into acceptance, move into gratitude, move into other empowerment tools that elevate your view, and then get back out into creating. Right. So it's a beautiful process. And every one of us in this room is a badass when it comes to helping others do that.
Right.
Like, you know how to do that. I know how to do that with other people. Ryan knows how to do that. And so if you don't have somebody to reach out to us and we'll help you through that.
Yeah.
For tens of thousands of dollars, it's no big deal. Just kidding. But the truth is, like, there is somebody in your world, whether it's us or somebody else, that is accessible to you, that can help you to elevate your view of the world so that you can break free from these cycles. Because this is where I think people get spun up in the wash.
Yep.
Right? Because they don't have the tools to come out of it. And that's what we're really good at.
And like you said, it's not having the tools, but also maybe not having somebody to speak to. I mean, majority of people are getting pounded by negative thoughts and negative people around them. They don't realize there's another side, a different way, And so until you listen to something like this or talk to somebody like us, they may not understand that's actually a way you can think. That's actually a way you can believe, a way you can feel. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to. That's a choice.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of the Byron Katie quote that as long as you think the problem is out there, as long as you are the victim to your life, you will be forever stuck in the role of victim.
Right.
And she says you'll be suffering in paradise. And that's that last sentence. The beauty of that sentence is that paradise hasn't changed. The world is the world. Paradise is paradise. It's our view of it that shifts it.
Right.
And so that's where, our programs, what you've put together, what we've put together, they're designed to help people navigate that and get out of that stuck point, that wash. Right. Let's get you elevated and let's get you back out creating as quick as we can. I don't want you to stay there forever.
No, none of us do. And that reminds me of another Einstein quote where he says, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that got you there.
Yeah.
And that, I just looked that up last night.
Nice.
Tony.
Nice.
So the universe is so freaking amazing. Like,
yes, it is.
Last night, dude, I looked up that exact quote because I have it somewhere in my garage, and I was like, where the heck is this quote? Nice. So I Googled it, mostly because of like what's going on in the world, and we've gotten to this point thinking the way that we've been thinking, and there's other ways to do this. And it's a complex situation that can be solved, at least to a great degree, with more love and just a different understanding. And so that's what I was looking up last night. So I just think that's amazing. You mentioned that too. It's also just another confirmation to me that there's someone, something, maybe it's an army, maybe it's a host of spirit guides, angels, something in the world, in the universe, that are bigger than what we are. Like the understanding level is more, and they give a crap about what's going on in our world. And so, man, I appreciate you saying that right now, because that gives me just another witness confirmation in my heart that I'm on the right path too. So
I just to add to that too, they give us the room to do it our way.
Exactly.
I love the song by Frank Sinatra, My Way.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful song, right? If you get a chance to listen to it.
My way.
And we all have the room to do that. And alongside you are people who are willing to walk the bridge, right? With you. Mm-hmm. And so if you're watching this show and you're thinking, I don't have that person in my life, DM one of us.
Yeah.
Message us right now. Like, reach out and say, this is what I'm struggling with. Can you help me break through? I've had Steve Hardison talk to me hundreds of times, and it never questions it. Other people, other coaches that I've reached out to, and they said, absolutely, brother, let's support, and so the beauty of our world and our industry is people are here. We're willing to support and help. And really all it takes is that first step of reaching out, you know?
Yeah.
So what else would you like to share? What's a question? I like this new question that we're asking now is, if there was a question you wish you would have been asked.
Don't be so sure, Tony. You don't know what you're going to get here.
Ooh, what would that be? And what would your response be? What question do you wish you would have been asked during this show? And what would your response to that question be?
That's a great question.
It's on the spot kind of question.
Oh, which is cool. I don't mind that. I'm not sure, because we just have great conversation. It doesn't matter if there's a question asked or not. So
yeah.
If there was a question, I would say, what's really going well for you right now in your world? And my response would be the getting back to basics that we were talking about. The compound effect is really working well for Anika and I and Marcus right now. Since we made this move down here to Clearwater area, it's just been the stacking of the little things day in and day out that have just been phenomenal. And like I talked about, I just finished.
Dude, he's got like a stick. He's like,
he's doing that because he's seeing Marcus and I work on different projects. We built shelves, bed frames, things like that, but we haven't finished that blasted desk.
Going back to Finding Nemo, the girl in the dentist's office, like poking the bag, and
but the compound effect, and like we were talking about off screen earlier. So I mean, just doing those little things day in and day out. Like I said, I just finished the draft of my next book, and I did it in a month. I did it in 30 days or 31 days.
Yeah,
and that was a commitment to myself that I'm going to write this many words every day, and I did. And some days I may have missed a day, but then I made it up the next day. So if I was going to write 2,000 words today and I had too many appointments, I didn't have time, then tomorrow I wrote 4,000 words. And so the average of 2,000 words every single day added up to the completed draft. And so it's recognizing the little things and doing those, sticking with those little things. Doesn't have to be overwhelming. Doesn't have to be a big thing. Don't take on too much at once. And that's what's been working. Is I used to try to do that. I used to take on too much crap, and then procrastinate and delay or do it half-assed. And now little things added up over time, add up to big things.
I like that. Benoit Mandelbrot says that. Simple equations repeated create the complexity of life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he didn't say that, but I like attributing it to him. That's pretty paraphrased. But it is. Small steps lead to a giant life.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And giants still take small steps. They're just bigger. Right.
A book in 30 days, building a child's nest.
Yeah.
Almost.
Damn it. Which version of Hugh are we talking to today? Yeah. He's the poke the bear Hugh.
Yeah.
What other thoughts do you have?
I when I found out Tony had signed up for today and went in last night, and I was like, Tony Schmaltz is on the show because Tony has a saying that's be schmaltzy, and we have a saying, it's be giant. They're the same. It's being you. It's when I got to meet, I had to get emotional. I met Tony for the first time. I was like, who is this guy? And he was hopping onto the Ultimate Coach Facebook group, and he was going for his schmaltzy walk talks, and I'm like, this dude's rad. Like I was like, I got to meet this guy. And then they created the Ultimate Coach, the Ultimate Experience. Judy Thurston, and and Alex and Julie and all those guys that were involved in that. It was an amazing experience, and got to meet Tony at Gam Gam's house.
Gam's house, yeah.
Nadine Larder, and who he is on screen is nowhere. It can't even describe who he is. You want a real deal? You want somebody that will also shoot you straight, but also put his arm around you and walk next to you and love you. And he is Schmaltzy. He that's who he be all the time. And he has a commitment to himself and to you. This guy is amazing. You might have had a way of being you at home. It doesn't have to be the way forever. You can change that right now. You find a Tony Schmaltz and you contact him immediately. That dude will change your life. He'll help you change your life because he's changed his life. He's been through some of the hardest stuff that anybody can go through. He knows what it's like. He knows what it feels like. He knows what to do next. Big, small, doesn't matter. Whatever you're going through, he can help you. So that's what I would say is find a Tony Schmaltz that you can be the giant that you are.
I like it. We're going to have to change the book to The Giants and the Schmaltz.
I love it. Oh, we'll just create another one.
Yeah.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Love you both.
Ryan. That was awesome. That was
great. No.
For everybody that's watching, Tony does have a gift for you. Is that correct?
Yeah,
on upgradeyourlife.net. So do you want to tell them a little bit about that and then we'll wrap up here?
Yeah. So I've extended this gift for just an extra period of time because of being on the show. But this is one of our weekly coaching sessions where it's open forum and it's typically a monthly fee. However, this is going to be, you get 8 weeks. So 2 months free of charge. If you go to upgradeyourlife.net and register and join us every Thursday afternoon, and we're changing lives every week.
That's a huge gift. That's a huge gift. That's 8 weeks of Tony's attention and time and creations and just a huge value. Mm-hmm. So, we were talking about if you don't know where to find the support, that's a hell of a start right there. Mm-hmm. 2 months of free coaching. So go jump on that upgradeyourlife.net. But wait, don't there's more. But don't jump off the show yet. We're not quite done. So do it after we hang up here.
When your butthole puckers, go to upgradeyourlife.net.
You mother. No, I go into rhyme mode. Don't say that, right? When your butthole puckers, go to Upgrade Your Life. That could get me in trouble. How Nick Smith got canceled, 2023. Just a big gratitude to those that show up every week. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for sharing this. Be sure to share it. You know somebody that could benefit from this. So just share this video with them. Tell them about the parts that really affected you, that impacted you the most. Right? Tell them about that and say, watch this video. You got to see it. See all of our videos on Wake Up with Giants TV. We've got over 250 interviews and over 700 uploads on that channel and more coming. We're just not going to stop. Okay. Right. We are committed to this and we're moving forward, and every one of you makes that a possibility. Our goal is to impact 100 million lives globally. Our job is to hold the vision. Our job is not to hold the how. You may be part of that how by sharing this video today and subscribing. So please go do that, and be sure to join us next week for another great episode on Wake Up with Giants TV. Go make it a giant day.
Love you too.
I kind of went and forgot what we do at the end here, but it is to play a video.
Push up.